Hey everybody, it's a bit of a Sunday night special. Why this vehicle is really my favourite vehicle. 101 reasons why this is my favourite. Well, it's getting close to 20 years old, let's face it. A few more years it will be 20 years old. It's getting close to 500,000 kilometres. And look at those seats, they've never had seat covers on them. Have a look at the condition of the seats. The side, it's still got good support, still pretty bloody clean. That's number one. I've mentioned before the plastic on the side doors, trims, the flares. I think it looks good and it gives you that bit of protection. That's plastic and it's not metal that's going to get damaged if somebody opens their doors onto you, or if you actually use your vehicle traveling the outback and out on the tracks. Things can hit it and bada bing, you're not worried about it. Nice big storage console and the low range, high range, no electronics, just a mechanical shifter, so nice and reliable, no plastic underneath or electronics to let you down. It's not push button start, it takes a key to go in and turn, which works really well for me. I don't have an issue with that. I actually like the top mount intercooler, shorter distance for all the air to travel rather than come out the front here, and the intercooler will help reduce the flow to the radiator, so I'd rather keep that clear, just the condenser and the radiator here. If you hit something at the front, you're not going to damage your air intake system. It's all up on top. I actually prefer it, and it's quite easy to remove that and get it out of the way. These rear windows pop open at the rear there like wings, and you can take off. Unlike the 150 Prados, it doesn't have that big rear spoiler up the top there that sucks all the dust around all over straight on the back of the vehicle and all the moisture so that all the dirt sticks to it. It's got the windscreen wiper just down there behind the tyre. I wish they brought it back this way again. Bloody beautiful. When you open the rear door, you don't actually have that gas strut. This does lock in place, of course, but it cannot lock in any other position, and you don't have any resistance on this to stop the door, which is a disadvantage, but I like it because it's mechanical and simple. You're getting to know me yet, that I just like simple things that are reliable. They can get old and they'll just still work, which is why everyone loves 120s and never sell it. Some people like to drive with their rear windows open, and some people like to do crazy things like temporary run wires through there. That's a good reason why I like the window popping open, and if I want to plug the charger on, I can leave it open while it's parked indoors and run a lead through there with all the doors shut. Another reason why this is one of my favorites, the 120s, they're just a smaller vehicle compared to the 150s and compared to the Patrols. And compared to many other vehicles, they're a good size vehicle. Balance of spacious, but not too big. Really good turning circle, short enough wheelbase that really easy to park in car parks and maneuver on the tracks on those 3-point turns instead of being 5-point turns. In the 120, there's actually heaps of room in the back in the GXL, where all the plastic trims are all the way out to the side there, rather than like the 150s. And of course the seats connect in at the sides there, and you just take them out, put those plastic covers back on, and it's like it's meant to be. And therefore the floor level is at floor level instead of being built up, carrying all this extra weight and needing to rip all that out and then having trims that aren't finished quite right. Yep, just another reason why I love the 120 and like it the most out of all the vehicles. I think the door trim materials is very good quality, even though you can knock it around and get some scratches on things and rub marks in 500,000 kilometers. Isn't that in just pretty awesome condition for a car that's done nearly 500,000 Ks? It's just quality. I also like the way these seats fold. So you just pull the lever and this back part folds down flat onto the base, and then it just flips forward. So you've got a whole open clear area all in one move. The 150s, there's different ways they fold. Some of them don't fold that well, but in the GX is the one I know about. You got to flip the base of the seat forward, and then this folds down flat, which is good also. So in the GX, also good. GXL and above, I think it's a little bit different. Someone can tell us about it in the comments or do their own little video. Look at the quality of that material. I also like it because it's a very efficient diesel. My best fill on this trip is, I think it was 10.6 litres per 100 Ks. I can get better than that, but that was the best I've had without trying. It's a heavily loaded, modified 120 Prado. Travelling at highway speed, 10.6 is pretty good. I've had other fills, like I think around 11.2. I think the one that included off-road in the hills and a beach run was 11.4 or something, mid 11s anyway, which is about normal for this because that's what it usually does. Diesel efficiency, awesome, reliable, and it's got the 180 litre fuel tank underneath, which is something else that I love, whether it's the range or being able to choose where you buy fuel and get it at a cheaper price and not get ripped off in some of those places because you've got the carrying capacity and you don't need to buy fuel again for a long time. The rear door setup with a handle up here I actually prefer as well. On the 150, of course, they've got that big plastic and the handles underneath that. Not the preferred. Another reason why I like this one, just keep it simple. And I actually like the two-tone, like the silver and the different grey on the mud flaps, and that's a plastic trim under there, which is really good for anti-rock damage, rock spray. It's actually plastic, which a lot of rocks will bounce off and avoid chipping compared to what would be painted steel on other vehicles. The chrome mirrors are not bad either. What a luxury vehicle. Yep, I can keep going. See this grille up here? When you open the bonnet, the grille stays on the bonnet, which means you've got a lot more access for whether you're cleaning, inspecting, or working on the vehicle, installing accessories, winches, auto coolers, whatever the case may be. You open the bonnet and it gets all this out of the way much easier. Look, it might be time for some work on the master cylinder or replacement, or maybe the vacuum pump, but my point is, it's just a really simple, reliable master cylinder. If it needs to be replaced, the cost isn't going to be massive. On some other vehicles with traction control, it's a big accumulator master cylinder, and it can be quite expensive to replace that unit when it fails. When it comes to replacing the radiator on the 120, it's pretty straightforward, easy to change compared to the 150. The 150, as we discussed earlier with the front mount intercooler, there's quite a bit more work and difficulty removing the radiator with the intercooler on it compared to the 120. Like, this is pretty straightforward, so easier to work on replacing the radiator. I think I prefer the steel power steering fluid overflow container over the plastic one that seems to deteriorate. They discolor, the plastic ones do, and they get little hairline, little cracks in them, and on my vehicles I probably need to replace them because I don't like things that look like that. You know, once this plastic looks a bit old, I just replace it. That one hasn't been done yet, but could be coming on the radar soon now that we've mentioned it. But this one was about the power steering. That's another reason why I like the 120 better. I'll try and do a video talking about why I like the Patrol better than these cars and the 150 better and the Hilux better. It's just honest appraisal, the way I see things from a mechanical perspective, with a lot of use perspective, traveling and camping and all that sort of thing also. Now, the next point, on the 150, it's got those plastic T-pieces in the hose down around these sort of areas. You'll know what I mean. The 120 doesn't. It's just got this alloy pipe, which I've never seen a problem with. Self-tensioning clamps, whatever they're called, and genuine hoses. They're original, nearly 500,000 Ks. Nothing wrong with that. Rubber, clamp or pipe. Very reliable. You're not going to have a problem. To be quite honest, also the 120 is easier to work on. The 150 Prados, e.g. if you're working around the top of the engine, injector type inspection replacement type work, the plastic trim, you'll need to remove some trims and remove that trim out of the way, and the engine's still a bit further back, lower down and harder to work on compared to the 120. I think the Hilux is probably overall the easiest to work on if I had to pick one, but the 120 would be right behind it, the 150 being more difficult to work on. We can't really pinpoint exactly why that is. It's just a fact of the matter. If I remember to, at the end of the video, I'll also put a couple of photos in there for you, showing you the angle of the windscreen, where this is much more laid back compared to the new 250 Prado's very flat. You can have a look at the photos for yourself and judge for yourself. But you're going to cop a lot more windscreen damage on that 250 Prado. We're not comparing to that. We might have a video on that later, so if you don't want to miss it, subscribe, turn the bell on. Obviously, I'm not going to fit 101 things in this video, but I'll see if I can come up with a few more. And if you've missed videos, it's worth going back, watching all those older videos, because they've got a lot of information in them to help you look after your vehicle, including things like replacing these plastic mounting brackets, because they do get old and brittle. You'll see the heat. And that's another reason why it's worth, at the end of the day, if you've been traveling out in the desert and you're in hot temperatures on a trip, when you get to your destination, open the bonnet like this and let the heat escape the engine bay rather than trap it in there, especially important for petrol engines. In the 120, although it could do with some more drink holders, I do prefer the two up the front here. They're out of your way. You can have your arm on the console above your bottles and do whatever you need to do. Where I find the ones up the front of the console on some other vehicles are always blocking access to climate control radios, phone charger connections, and this sort of thing. It's also a very simple dashboard, quite easy to work on if you want to change your vehicle radio head unit there, which I've probably talked about briefly in other videos. I'm quite happy with this one in the end, and there must be a link somewhere, but I'm not that highly recommending it because it is a bit slow, Chinese, cheapy kind of whatever, but it does do the job. No regrets, but I'd be careful recommending it to anyone else. There was a bit of drama with that, and it will be talked about in other videos. So I think overall, the whole vehicle is just a really robust vehicle. This vehicle's on its original dashboard. It's only had a dash mat in there maybe for about a year or so, I can't remember, but you'd be able to work it out from checking the videos. What else I like is it's got a really bulletproof engine, and there'll be only a few people that don't believe that or have a laugh at that, and that's just because they know a bunch of people that didn't follow the maintenance and they've had some bad luck, because even when you don't follow the maintenance, most of the time you're going to get lucky. But if you have one of these engines from new and it's had all the correct maintenance, injector replacement, no chips and tunes, I don't think you're going to be able to blow it up. Following my regime, you get 1,000,000 kilometers out of the engine, it'll last longer than you. Same as all the components bolted to it, all very reliable. Let's have a quick look around. Aircon compressor, never been changed, original. Alternator gave me a bit of a flicker. I don't know, you can check the videos how long ago that was, so I put a new genuine one on it. The old one went on someone's car that wanted a cheap temporary fix. Still on there to this day as far as I know. Years later, never had a problem. So alternator's very reliable. Radiator's very reliable. This is a new radiator, it's a new fan in the last year or two. Again, it's in the videos, but they didn't need to be changed. I just did it as preventative maintenance because things deteriorate and I want to keep this vehicle as much as I can like new. All the other components, the power steering, the vane pump, vacuum pump, you know, the E-jar cooler, everything bolted to the engine just works. Behind it, the transmission, it just works. Okay, they're bulletproof, 5-speed auto, A750F, master cylinder, brake fluid flushes, it's just bulletproof. Whatever batteries you choose to put in, beautiful in my case, bulletproof. I don't have problems with batteries, I'll look after them. Compressor, well, I thought it was bulletproof till we had the problem with that, but that's not related to the engine. Why I like the 120 the best, all its mechanical components, I know them so well, how reliable they are. We can take this vehicle out on the tracks and hit the tracks and do silly things, and nobody breaks CVs. Nobody breaks these vehicles. They don't break tie rod ends. And when I say nobody, if you watch all the videos, you'll be able to find a video where I broke a CV. I was doing something very silly that I shouldn't have been doing, so that's definitely my fault. When you put the whole load of a 3-ton loaded vehicle with people in it on a steep hill that's got big holes in it, and you got your front locker on and you're all flexed up 2 wheels off the ground, and all the load goes to your one right-hand tire at the front, or right, left, whatever it was, fully loaded with a locker on full lock, yep, you can break a CV. Don't do anything stupid. And myself and all the other vehicles, they don't break CVs. So they're very reliable. Wheel bearings, we know when they're dry and worn out, replace them. Get on the How to Buy My Kits playlist if you want to know more about the wheel bearings, the injector kits, the BFE kits, but you probably know already. Prado, Dobinson suspension, in there, reliable. Why do I like this vehicle the best? Well, it pretty much sums it all up, that everything here, it's a bloody reliable package, and bada bing, bada boom. I think I've done enough talking in this video, so we'll catch you in the next one. If you want more, check out those playlists. See you in the next video.